This picture is of Luffy with shirt flying open in the wind and having kind of devious looking face on. If you like this drawing and more like it, remember to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Have a nice day.
One Piece, Chapter 121. I knew. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the excellent and epic tale of One Piece. Our last chapter left us with of course, Dorry and Broggy had finished their duel. Broggy winning. No thanks to the help, of course, by the unfair advantage that was created by Mister Three. Broggy, of course, was then encased in some sort of wax, or his legs were at least, and the chapter ended up with with Luffy still being pretty much trapped underneath that house. Vivi and Usopp trying to fight, Mr. Five and Miss Valentine to no avail, and being beaten. So that's where the chapter had ended, and that's where it picks up over here. We see Luffy has been hit by this kick bomb that that Mr. Kicker bomb that Mr. Five has. And personally, I just don't really care for him as a character. I mean, the explosive power, it's cute and everything, but like the booger thing is just kind of gross to me, and I don't know, he just sort of it just reminds me of like a Lenny Kravitz clone reject, so I just can't get it out of my head. But the chapter commences, with them, of course, having Vivi. Usopp has gotten the 10,000 kilo press by Miss Valentine, so he's pretty much just like only part of his upper body is sticking out of the ground. He has been smashed into the ground. Carue is laying there, battered and beaten. Luffy has been, of course, was still trapped under this house. And this kicker bomb, that Mr. Five even goes and says something like, "Oh, that kicker bomb! I can't believe you didn't, that didn't do you in." And Luffy's still threatening him, so he goes and he hits him with a couple more of these kicker bombs, and boom, boom, you see it blowing up. And Luffy's a little worse for wear. There's more lines drawn on his face, to signify like the blackened parts. But it's almost like a cartoon character. You can blow up Bugs Bunny no matter how much you want, but he's still fine. He's hurt, but he's definitely not down and out. So it then goes and it takes us back to back to Mister Three and then of course Broggy, who has been encased in wax. And he's still struggling and trying to fight. And he's, "You swine, you this, you that." And Mister Three basically says, "Hey, listen, I put this wax jacket on you. You're not getting out of that. By now, it's it's hardened and it's harder than steel. And just stop fighting." And then he goes and he starts to go and add insult to injury, and he starts taunting Broggy, and he says, "Oh yeah, it must be nice that you won that battle finally after 100 years. Even though you had an unfair advantage and you had a little help, So it winds up coming out that that he basically he didn't win it honorably, And Broggy's starting to think, what the hell, At that point, Mr. Five, shows up, and Miss Valentine show up with Vivi in tow, and Vivi goes and says about how you scoundrel, you tricked him into you placed that bomb in the ale and tricked him. And Broggy starts putting two and two together now because he realized that there was something wrong, and he comes out with that too, and he goes, "Geez, Dorry, my friend, I knew there was something wrong, and he's thinking about this, how he fought him anyway, even though he had ale, that exploded in his stomach, and he was clearly weakened." But it's all about the honorable thing, at least with these two. It really is about, no matter what, not making excuses, Sure, if Dorry had said to Broggy, "Well, listen, this has happened, and can we postpone this?" Broggy would have, but it would have agreed to maybe postpone the fight temporarily or what have you. But ultimately, neither one of these two make excuses for not being able to accomplish something. It doesn't matter if they're sick, if it's rainy, if it's Tuesday, whatever. That's the deal, and it's all about the honor. So we hear him talking about that as he's, of course, laying there, encased in pieces of wax, from Mr. Three. So Mr. Three then goes and pulls out and does this thing. He goes and winds up shooting this wax lock thing, at Vivi, and then says, hey, to bring Zoro and bring Zoro and Nami out. They're brought out as well, and he does this, this ultimate magic candelabra, and it's basically, it looks like a giant like wax birthday cake with like this big spindle coming out of it, and the top part of it that has like these candles and everything. the part that's holding all the candles, the candelabra part or whatever, has like this weird sort of like pumpkin carved face on everything. It's all just sort of weird and creepy, and I don't know, man. It just like something like creepy clown carnival type looking thing. I don't know. And they wind up putting the three of them on there, and he. And even and as this candelabra goes and spins on top, it's like dripping wax down onto them to slowly encase them in wax, and he's going to make them these perfect human, wax statues. And Zoro even goes, he's like, now I know how it feels to be a candle on a birthday cake, right? So Nami goes and she's like, even though they can't move and everything, she starts going, and I think her and Vivi as well are trying to get Broggy motivated and get him up and ready to go. So they basically are trying to kind of egg him on. They're like, don't let him beat you, and you can't do that. This is an honorable thing, and you're a great warrior of honor. You can't let this person beat you. And they're basically trying to motivate him, because Broggy certainly is pretty down that he found out that even though he had a bad feeling about that whole battle with Dorry, that he slayed or slaughtered or whatever his friend. And I mean, when he was going into his little monologue telling Mr. 3 about you wouldn't understand anything about honor and everything else, I mean, that's truly what he thinks. He says, hey, listen, not everybody would take this path and would be like this, but even though I sensed and felt there was something wrong with him, I would dishonor him to go and question him, to second guess him, or to pull out and back out and say, you know what, I know there's something off today, I'm just not fighting you. So that's kind of where this whole thing is going. It really is truly about just this unwavering honor that he has, and this steadfast determination to uphold that honor. So no matter what, neither one was going to give in or to make excuses. So and we see him go and start to kind of break free, and he's like, and now I'm going to kill you with my own hand, or do away with you with my own hand. And you see him start to break free, and then we see an explosion, and the next thing we see Mr. Booger Man over there, with his, it looks like he just did a Nez Palm cannon because he's holding his finger out like this, and he's like, noisy giant, So like I said, I don't really care for any of these Baroque Works agents. They're just not doing it for me yet. That's just my personal opinion. I don't find any of them to really be that sort of annoying or despicable, type of character or bad guy with motivations that really, truly, kind of inspire me to hate them or to dislike them strongly. They're just kind of irritating at this point. But again, that's just my opinion. So the chapter wraps up shortly after that. We're taken back to Luffy and Usopp. And Luffy is basically just like, hey, Usopp, we're not going to let them get away with this crap, are we? And Usopp's, no, we're not, and so then Luffy goes and, the last panel of the page is kind of him with that determined look and that grin on his face. It's like, okay, well, let's go clobber them, so that's kind of like his deal, and it kind of reminds me of like the Thing from the Fantastic Four comic, it's clobbering time, and Luffy's always just kind of like, let's go clobber them. That seems to be one of his trademark or signature things that he says. My question for this chapter is, and that's how things wrap up and leave us hanging. And I know that some, say they dislike this arc, some like this arc, and ultimately I think it's just going to be difference of opinion. There's going to be some that, again, I mean, some people are really going to enjoy and are just overwhelmingly positive about, and then there's others that you just don't see as many comments on and as many views, and maybe they just, like I said, that's fine. All of you who've read through this, you know better than I. Some are going back through it again, and that's why I continue to do this and not skip arcs or chapters or anything else, because I truly think this will be a neat thing to have a complete set eventually of chapter by chapter One Piece reviews. So my chapter question, though, brothers and sisters, is where in the hell is Sanji? I'm sure it'll be revealed in the next few chapters, and he'll come out of nowhere and help us, but where is Sanji? Now, I know that he was off, a couple chapters ago doing his little, hunt type of contest with Zoro, but Zoro's been captured, Nami's been captured, there's explosions going on, there's all kinds of nonsense. Where the hell is Sanji? That's all I want to know. So, I just don't know. I failed to see how he could not even hear what's going on, that there's commotion going on, and that he's not like lurking in the trees somewhere waiting for the right moment to spring forth and help his the rest of the crew. So that's my chapter question. Spoilers or not, that's what it is. So if you want to answer it in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, nation.
Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others, And of course, if you like watching the videos, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.